We are live. We are live. It's on a title screen here. This is the time when I'm doing the intro music for the Cowboys and Eagles Monday Hangover. I know. Well, no. Yeah, we're live, dogs. And that's why, yeah, I was giving an intro song. That's what I was singing.
Okay, this is welcome. This is the Hangover, and I don't know, man. You get the game. Let's just be proud that we live on the West Coast and weren't up till 1 a.m. watching the football game. Imagine that being on the East Coast. What time did the game end last night? 9:30. You're into Tuesday. You're into Monday. Sorry, Friday. Days messed up. But hey, boys, first hangover of the year. How do we feel? Yeah, it's almost that thunderstorm, the delay of game kind of took the energy out of the game, didn't it, a little bit? Because did anyone even score after they resumed play?
Nope. No.
So it was 24-20 before they called the game midway through the third. The funniest thing of the game was AJ coming back and the game just started, thinking he had missed the whole third quarter. Oh, there goes my headphones. God damn it. That was it. So, I mean, the game prior to the weather delay, it was pretty exciting. The Cowboys obviously came out, scored on their first possession. Eagles then mirrored it. The big news: Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott. They showed some clips after. Maybe Dak spat on the ground, which is irrelevant. You always get the guy that acts second. So Jalen Carter being out of the game, how important do you think that was for the success of the Cowboys? If Jalen Carter's in there, is it a completely different game?
Wasn't on the field.
Do you want to bring up the stats, AJ, like the game
Want to look
stats
at here?
here? Because if we had to pick, I think one of the things we want to do on the hangover here, guys, is pick our player of the game and pick our tit of the game. So if we had to, while you're pulling it up, just quick
Player
reflection.
of the game.
At who's your player of the game for the Dallas Cowboys yesterday in a loss?
Dak Prescott's going to be my player of the game for the Dallas Cowboys in this loss. Just
Slim
particular.
Dak?
Yeah, exactly. And I think just in terms of anything that he did yesterday, you can't put any of that on him. Like it was an impeccable game in my opinion.
Threw it when he needed to. I feel like you're alluding to your tit of the game, which is going to be weird. A guy that had 110 yards receiving, everybody's talking about CeeDee Lamb with his 4 drops. And I don't even know if the drops are the biggest issue. It's when the drops happened. 2 drops by CeeDee Lamb are probably my favorite player on the Dallas Cowboys right now. But he had 2 drops with 3 minutes left to go in the game. I don't know if I want to count that diving catch that he almost had on 4th and 3 as a drop, but there was that one at the 2:42 mark in the fourth quarter where he had his guy beat on like a post and it hit him right in the fucking breadbasket and he didn't bring that in. And we were all pretty animated about it last night, but with a little bit of sleep and time pass, like, do you still think that was the turning point, even though it was so deep in the game? Like, if CeeDee Lamb gets that, the Cowboys are in prime spot to score and take the lead late in the game.
That was exactly. It's not the. I'm not counting every drop. Although if it hits a receiver's hand, generally, we think it should be caught, and especially if it's CeeDee Lamb, right? Like if it's within his catch radius, the hell am I doing? I went all blurry. Fits within his catch radius. He should.
It's a hangover. It's a hangover,
It's the
baby.
hangover. This is
The
the hangover. Show. Let me
hangover.
get one of these.
Crack
Let
me
me
in,
get one of
Adam.
these. It's only.
Hey,
It's only a. It's only a. But crack him if you got him.
Let me get one of these.
Pop up. Look at you guys. Both are drinking the coffees at the same time.
Yeah, I'm on lunch break right now. I'm on lunch break. I went in to work today.
Yeah, Can fan don't sleep, brother.
Yep, you got it.
Can fan don't
Sorry,
sleep.
AJ, we cut you off there.
Ah, it was blurred. We needed a little bevy. It's the draw. It's really that one drop. Everything else, I'm like, whatever. Okay, that was a pivotal. That was like, that's why you're the number one receiver, CeeDee Lamb, because you don't miss those catches. And that was like literally dropped. Yes, he had a guy on him, but it dropped right into his arms. You can see the replay, and he was physically upset about that. And then you combine that with the fumble.
Oh,
it's
fumble.
Like Sanders fumble.
Oh,
Dak,
man.
There's no blame that can go on Dak Prescott in this game. He had a really good football game. Not perfect. I'm not looking for perfection, though.
No, you need enough to win. And that that fumble, I want to say that was the only turnover of the game. And you can go back and compile a million football games. The biggest stat that always comes out is whoever wins the turnover battle is more than likely going to win the game. The Cowboys were in the red zone, or at least close to it, when Miles Sanders fumbled the ball. He had that big run. We were all jacked up. He got caught by a fucking linebacker, which is weird. A running back should never get caught by a linebacker. Had a nice breakout, got caught when it looked like he was going to take it for a touchdown, and then he doubled downs and fumbles the ball in the red zone. So that was probably the really pivotal point of the game. I said the CD drop, which is a little excessive to say that's a pivotal point when there's only 2 minutes left, but that fumble was.
But think of it this way too. So CeeDee Lamb, and I know we started to talk about who my player of the game was, and then all of a sudden we went into like what we're wanting to air the grievances of last night's game. But CeeDee Lamb had 7 total drops of all last season, and last night he had 4. Last night alone he had 4. Now, granted, the last 2 years CeeDee Lamb really hasn't shown up until week 4 or week 6, so we saw Dak and CeeDee Lamb go off. Now, had CeeDee Lamb get both 2 out of those 4 drops, all of a sudden his 110 yards would have turned to 160, 175 yards, possibly even a tutty on that first one, right?
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Like, we're talking about a guy, and I said the player of the game and the tit of the game. It's hard to say CeeDee Lamb's the tit of the game when he had 110 receiving yards. Like, without those receiving yards, are the Cowboys even getting in the game? Are they even scoring touchdowns? The reason they got the 2 Javonte Williams touchdowns is because CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott moved the ball. So it's hard for me to put sole blame on CeeDee's drops. If I'm picking a tit of the game, I think it has to default to Miles Sanders, right? That fumble, he's the only one that gave up a turnover. Sure, the drop sucked, but without that fumble, say the Cowboys score that drive, that drop is irrelevant, right? So turnovers are such a big key in the NFL, and the only person that had it was Miles Sanders. So he's my big fat tit of the game.
Miles Sanders had 11 snaps, a 48.4 rating overall. He is good out there for the pass block for he was only out there twice for a pass block. But yeah, if you come out there and have 11 snaps and one of them, or total 11 snaps, so that's not even the amount of times he got the football handed to him, and then you fumble it on one, Daddy does not like that. I think he's in doghouse.
Look at Tyler Guyton. PFF did not like what Tyler Guyton did. 42 overall, man. Our worst offensive player by PFF's rating system.
Which is crazy because...
and you know what? I'm not terribly concerned. Yes, Guyton he had a 26.1 pass block. He allowed 5 pressures. None of them were sacks. And surprisingly enough, when you look at the stats, when Dak was comfortable, let me just pull it up here. When you could see when he was comfortable, so here you can see his offensive stats here. Kept clean under pressure, not blitzed, and when blitzed. All fairly good. It's the passing concepts here. You could definitely see when the Cowboys were running play action and screen plays, he was not as efficient as when there was no play action or no screens. So I don't know if that's like consistent with all NFL quarterbacks, like if that's a normal thing. But maybe that's something that, I don't know, statistically, didn't seem like they did that a lot over the last year or the last 2 years. So if it is something that's new, or they're increasing the amount of times they do it, I'm hoping to see those stats get better. The screen and play actions plays.
Yeah, I think like when you talk about Dak Prescott, we were just talking about CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb catches those passes, and then all of a sudden his stat line goes up a bit higher. But like, look at that. Like the Dak was based. There obviously was a couple maybe flubbed passes, but for the most part, Dak was on target. Jake Ferguson dropped passes. CeeDee Lamb dropped 4 passes. So like Dak was efficient last night. Had Dak get some of those completions even to CeeDee Lamb or one of those completions to Jake Ferguson, his stat line's completely different. It's like 300 yards possibly with like 2 tuds. And now all of a sudden that's like an MVP caliber game, even though the eyeball test shows you that Dak Prescott didn't have an issue there, right?
Yeah, the funny thing, that's a funny point because a lot of people will look at the stat line and be like, Dak did nothing. But anybody that watched the game last night, Dak was the best offensive player for the Cowboys last night, without a
100%.
doubt.
Well,
Like he looked clean. The main thing I liked about Dak last night is when pressure got through, he didn't look panicky. He looked
exactly.
comfortable,
And
that's key.
and you know, Jalen Carter getting ejected before the game even started obviously helped Dak have a little bit more time. But this is like one of the best defensive players in the NFL. So him being off the team is going to absolutely impact how the offense is going to approach their play calls. But you know that offensive line that the Cowboys have right now is starting to look very, very good for that first game against the reigning Super Bowl champions. Like, dudes, I'm stoked to have that interior offensive line today. I know PFF rated Tyler Guyton shit, but I thought Guyton was
He
dogging
didn't give
out
up a
last night.
sack.
Yeah,
He didn't give up a sack.
what else?
That's
What else
huge.
do you want?
One thing I'll say, moving kind of from the Cowboys offense to the Eagles offense, what did we say that the Cowboys had to do to win the football game? Stop Saquon Barkley,
And they did.
right? And they did. Saquon Barkley, I think, his average was 3.3 yards per carry. To me, that's a stop. The only issue is they couldn't stop Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, well,
Jalen Hurts, what did he have? 2 rushing touchdowns?
2 rushing touchdowns, 63 yards. Is that what it shows there?
Yeah, so he had the 2 rushing touchdowns, and then at the end of the game, when the Eagles needed 3rd and 4, we're all yelling from the couch. We're like, Jalen Hurts is going to run the ball. What happened? Jalen Hurts ran the ball. So the one good thing going forward for the Dallas Cowboys is they're not going to face Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts every week. Next week, they have a very unproven New York Giants team that has a lot of new pieces. They got an old Russell Wilson. They don't have that Saquon Barkley. So I think the Cowboys losing this game, and I know I said it last night, I don't believe in moral victories, but the team's going to feel like they can play with anyone. They went and got into a nice knockout fest with the Eagles, and sure, they lost 24-20, but they proved to themselves already that they can hang with anyone in the NFL.
I got some defensive stats here that I just wanted to throw at you guys real quick.
Let's hear them.
First of all, Hurts 19 for 23, only 150 whatever yards, but that type of efficiency, you know, it's nothing. He didn't put his team in any position to have a turnover or lose the game. So like that's, say what you will, he was very efficient in passing, even if the yards weren't there. Deron Bland only had 2 throws thrown his way, both to Saquon. So
Yeah,
other than
good.
that, no passes to him when he was covering a wide receiver.
Hey, give us some behind baseball. Show us what you're looking at there, stud.
I'm just reading my stats
Oh,
that I
okay,
wrote
okay.
down. I'd have to like fly around to the different pages.
Yeah,
and then the
okay.
final thing here for the defense is Osa had 4 pressures and Sam Williams had 5 pressures. That's a great way to start the season.
Wow, that's you. And the defense in the first quarter, I made the comment last night that they looked a little slow, but you're going against one of the best offense in the NFL. I'm happy with how the defense played. If you told me the Eagles were only going to score 24 points, I would have been happy with that. So a lot to build off with the defense. On the defensive side of the ball, like you said, we didn't see Trevon Diggs' name called. We didn't really see Kyle Elam or Deron Bland. That means because they weren't getting challenged. They had their guys on lockdown. It was a lot of dinking and dunking with the Saquon Barkleys, the Goderts. So something we thought was going to be an issue for the Cowboys going into the season ended up looking like one of their strengths last night in the cornerback room.
Yeah, and I think this is what you really want to look at. Our two starters, mind you, Diggs only had 26 snaps. I expect him to go up to 62 next week. But both Bland and Diggs were our top coverage defenders, both over 70, which is really good. That's what you want to see. I don't really care too much about the rush defense. Tackles, of course, would be better, but ideally, Bland really didn't have to tackle because the ball wasn't thrown his way. If you do so good in coverage, you shouldn't really have to worry about tackling, right? So, but other than that, we didn't have a bad showing from our safeties either in Hooker and Wilson. So lots of promise on that defense. However, let's go look at the bottom of our crew here, guys. We got Toya, not expecting much from him, but our linebackers, both Sanborn and Murray,
that's not good.
Not good.
Well, this is so bizarre. I mean, because Solomon Thomas, when we're watching, he showed up when he needed to, and Sam Williams had some pretty solid pressures. I mean, it's Jalen Hurts on the scramble. So, like, when you see them as dehydrated as Alex's glasses on a game day live show, like, I don't think that's indicative of what we actually saw. Like, sure, maybe the portfolio of the game could have been a bit better, but for at least Sam Williams and Solomon Thomas, I don't think they were as bad. And same with like Deron Bland. I think the PFF rating system is solid, but there are certain times when you look at it, it's like I don't believe necessarily in our dehydrated system here.
You don't have to. You can say that they played better, but this is looking at just the statistics of how they played. No personal, like it's just about the data, right? So
Right.
they might have looked good, but they did not play the position well.
Yeah, you're saying if you're Jonah Hill in Moneyball, you're like, hey, we got to get rid of these guys.
No,
No,
yes.
I know, but I'm joking. Hey,
No,
a
but
kid. It's a hangover,
it's a
baby.
good point. I'm just
It's a hangover.
saying. Also, what I wanted to say to that though was like, I'm not making too much about game one. I'm not making too much about game two. I'm starting to care at game three, and by game four, that's where I'd be like, if these guys aren't working out, maybe we got to ship one of those first round picks to get a fucking big ass linebacker here, even if he's 29 years old or whatever. Like, you get him for 3 years. That's kind of the window that we're looking at. I mean, it's always 3 years, isn't it? But
I like what you said, though. You can't look too much at game one. It is game one, and you held a guy that ran for 2,000 yards last year to 3.3 yards per carry. Like, that's a giant win for the defense. That's a huge win. Sure, Jalen Hurts scored, right? But holding Saquon to what he did is pretty impressive. It's only going to get easier. The Eagles, I don't care if it's week 1 or week 17, they are a much better or talented team than the New York Giants. And I honestly think the Giants are going to get absolutely whooped next week by the Cowboys. I really do. I think the Cowboys are going to put a stomping on them. I fully believe that the Cowboys were going to win last night. Everyone thought I was crazy if they thought I was a homer, but I think this team's better than what people are expecting. People are telling us the Cowboys are barely going to win 6 games. If Dak Prescott plays the whole season, this team will be in the postseason.
Well, let's not even talk. So I said it last night. I actually made a joke about it last night on the broadcast, where, man, think of all of those idiots who picked up Javonte Williams and they didn't play him in week 1. Little did I know that in one of my fantasy teams, I have Javonte Williams sitting on my bench getting a cool 20 points. So
that's a tough start, though. That is a tough start yesterday to do.
But
yeah.
My point being is that we're talking about Dak. We know CeeDee Lamb's going to be fine, but guys, how do we feel about that run game? Running, so sure, Jalen Carter wasn't there, but if that means we're going to see this type of run production from a Javonte Williams without even having Jadon Blue in, against teams like this that have maybe a solid offensive line or a solid defensive line to run through, I'm feeling pretty good. Javonte Williams looked pretty good last night.
Yeah, and something no one was sold on. No one was sold on Javonte Williams. Of course, all of us probably took him in the league because he's a Cowboy and he was such good value in fantasy football. But I don't think any of us expected to have 2 rushing touchdowns last night. My biggest thing is, why the fuck are you giving Miles Sanders the ball in the red zone? And Miles Sanders, I think, last night, he pretty much skidded himself back. You had Jaden Blue, who was a healthy scratch. I'd be hard-pressed to say that Jaden Blue is not going to be at least taking some reps next week. But Javonte Williams, every time he touched the ball, he was going forward. So that was a pleasant surprise because nobody expected the Cowboys running the game to do shit. And it was probably one of the most efficient things, especially in the first half before that stupid fucking storm.
Well, let's look at this too. Obviously, Miles Sanders, 53 total yards, but he had that 49-yard break. So the other 3 rushes, whatever, they weren't nothing. But hey, sometimes that's all you're looking for out of a guy like Sanders is give us that one big break, kind of like what you're expecting out of Jadon Blue when he actually takes over that position. Same thing. Hopefully more than 3 yards on 3 rushes outside of the big break. But the other thing, yards after contact, an average of 2.91, and just Javonte, 2.1 yards after contact. So that's not, we really need that 3 yard after contact to feel confident that you're going to make those short yard gains. In fairness, two of those were touchdowns from like the 1 or 2 yard line. So that's as
right.
much as you can get.
So that's probably skewed it a little bit.
Skewed it a little, but still better than last year, game 1.
Yeah. So last
Right?
year, like, guys, okay, so final thoughts here. How are we feeling? It's the hangover. A lot of hype going into the game last night, opening weekend. But the first hangover, we're going to be doing this after every game the following day. But what do you guys feel like? How do you feel?
Good, but no depression, even with the loss. I guess the only thing is like we could have had a win.
Yeah.
Whatever. We got to move on to the Giants. And like you said, and I'm sure we're all thinking is like week 2 versus Giants at home should be a 40 burger.
It better be. I hate to say must win, but you can't go 0-2 against the division. You just can't do it. So I agree. It's I hope they put up 40. Ad, how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling. I was positive after the game last night. Obviously, I think everything that we saw in terms of mistakes are correctable things. I do think that like it gets me excited to see a bit more all 22 film on like what everybody else was doing. Like why wasn't George Pickens targeted a little bit more? What was Javonte Williams doing when he wasn't getting the actual snaps and he was in blocking coverage, or what route was he peeling out for? So it's hard sometimes when we're in the game because of the emotions and the alcohol fuels our drive. And then you have all week to kind of like really start to analyze like what's everybody else doing on the field. So yeah, I'm very I should say this, I'm very happy that everything we've been hearing off season with Shoddy and this team is starting to come to fruition. I think defense will start to kick it in. You saw Eberflus answer in the second half to some of the challenges that we were seeing in the first half. So yeah, super positive. Not on watch alert after that loss last night for sure. I was actually, I was literally up commenting on. I was playing the comment guy on our channel last night till like for probably 2 hours from the time I uploaded the video. I was commenting on both of us, just kind of going back and forth with people.
Were you like this on the couch?
No, I was like that in bed. I was like this in bed. I'd be like this. I'd be like this.
Hey, man, it's football season. Can fans 24/7, man. And so we're going to be going live, obviously, on our main event, which is Wednesday nights. We get to enjoy football this Sunday. We don't have to worry. Sure, the Cowboys lost, but we can just all sit around and kind of rot on the couch. Hopefully watch the Commanders and the Giants tie on Sunday. But my final thoughts on the game is they did better than what I was expecting. I know I talked a lot of shit and said the Cowboys were going to win, but that was just to mask my nervousness. I was nervous that they were going to get blown out, and I'm glad they didn't get blown out. I'm glad they showed that they can hang with the Super Bowl champs, and I'm excited for this year. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to surprise a lot of people. I think it's going to be a 10-win team, 10-plus win team, and if it's not a wild card, they're going to be fighting for that division. And the NFC Beast is probably one of the better divisions in the NFL. So I'm excited. We got football back, baby. We did it. We finished the offseason, and I'm excited to watch more football.
We'll be off until Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then we're running the show as we do. Wednesday main event, Sunday game, Monday hangover.
Monday hangover. So we will be doing these at 12 p.m. PST following whatever the day the Cowboys played. If the Cowboys play Sunday, we'll do it on a Monday. If the Cowboys play Thursday, as we're doing right now, Friday, Monday, Tuesday type thing. But who wants to call us out?
Well, I was just going to say, chat, Really happy everyone's showing up there. A lot of good comments. We'll get to you guys, promise, on these next episodes when we can bring them up. But yeah, the last thing I'll say is if you know anybody out there, and this is going to be a whisper one because
Yeah,
don't
you got to
have
whisper. I ain't whispering
okay,
shit.
okay. If you know anybody out there that doubted them boys and said, "Oh, the Cowboys lost. You know, look at you guys. The Cowboys lost." I want you to look them straight into their eyes and you tell them to go
Fuck themselves!
themselves. Nah. Okay, and then here's the music. Boom, ba ba boom, boom, ba ba boom, boom, ba ba boom, boom, ba
Again with the
ba
game.
boom, boom, ba ba boom, boom. That's the hangover. The morning hangover. See you guys later. See you guys later.